We are back with Mike Nawrocki, co-creator of Veggie Tales. Now, Mike, you had told me about how Veggie Tales started and everything, and then there was a time, probably I think you said maybe 15 years ago or whatever, that God kind of took away Veggie Tales for a little bit, and maybe you guys even thought Veggie Tales was done, and now there's kind of been a resurgence, and in a way, Veggie Tales is back. Tell me about how all that happened.
Yeah, so, I mentioned our very first episode was in 1993, Where's God When I'm Scared? We actually, we raised a little bit of money to create the episode. We didn't have any distribution for it. We took ads out in Christian parenting magazines, to sell the first 500 copies of the show. One of those orders and sales came from a record distributor in Nashville, Word Entertainment. And then, we were soon off, with a distribution deal, for our shows. And we had gone into Christian bookstores. And even those first few years were very, very, we struggled a lot financially just to be able to pay the bills, keep the lights on, create the shows. But around 1996 or so, things really started to take off. And we just started selling. We went into Walmarts and Targets and a bigger retail, as well as the Christian bookstores, which were really doing well at that time. And VeggieTales just exploded. And our mission all along was to create media that would help parents pass on biblical values to their kids. And so, so we started growing the company, feeling okay, like this is our mission, and we need to be responsible and basically grow the business to be able to grow our media brand to be able to affect culture for Christ. And so that's what we wanted to do. And so the company just kept getting bigger and bigger. And we couple different things happened. We started to work on our first film, and at the time, which was Jonah, a VeggieTales movie, and at the time, no Hollywood studio wanted to finance a Christian film. This was way before faith film ever got started. It was before Passion of the Christ, really took off, or any of the other faith films that are out now. And so we were at a place where it's like we wanted to do a movie with a big cultural impact, but we couldn't get outside financing for it, and so we financed it all on our own.
Wow.
And to do that, we needed to stop. We had so much capacity as a studio, so we were doing all of our at this time DVDs. We'd gone from VHS to DVD, but we had to pause production on our DVDs to be able to work on a movie. And our DVD was sort of our revenue generator. That's how we made our money. So we from a business standpoint, we had that going on. The other thing is we launched a new series called 321 Penguins.
Oh, yeah.
And we hired a team for that. We poured resources into that. And then on top of that, so there was a lot of expenditures going out the door. And then on top of that, we ran into a distributor lawsuit with one of our distributors, and so all of these things kind of compiled at the same time, right when Jonah came out.
Wow.
And Jonah did well as a movie, but it didn't do well enough to be able to take care of all of the other expenses that were going on, and we ended up going through reorganization, bankruptcy. And then Phil and I, and then a couple other stock owners within the company, we lost all of the control of the company through the bankruptcy. So so we lost everything, and the property was picked up by a company called Classic Media out of New York, who owned a number of classic cartoon brands, and so that was around 2003, 2004. And then Phil and I, kind of came to different decisions at that point. He elected. Phil's role was much more in running the company. My role was much more in the studio. And so what ended up happening with the change of ownership is our everyday kind of duties looked very different. With Phil, Phil ran the company, but I was able to kind of continue doing what I was doing with the shows, and so I remained an employee of the company.
Oh, sure.
And of the new company, and moved down to the Nashville area, which is where we relocated and continued making shows. And Phil did an independent contractor, a deal, and continued providing voices and doing writing and that sort of thing. But it was tough. I mean, it was tough to have spent so many years, like 10 years, pouring everything that we had into this and really feeling it was part of our calling and part of our ministry, and then to have it gone and or at least the control taken away. And I know, Phil talks about that a lot in his book and, what that meant for him letting that go. And it was a really tough time, but, over all those years, God continued to allow us to create shows, to continue to reach out and reach kids. And then most recently, I left Big Idea full-time in 2026. The company had changed hands a few times. Classic Media was acquired by a British company, and then the British company, they went belly up, and Classic Media bought everything back from them, and then Classic Media was then acquired by DreamWorks Animation.
You're kidding.
So I worked on, with DreamWorks Animation for a number of years, all through our Nashville office, Franklin office. And in 2016, all of DreamWorks Animation was acquired by Universal Pictures, NBC Comcast. And so, at that point, they actually discontinued the home video line, which is what I ran. And then I left in 2016 full time. And, I'd love to, maybe share with you a little bit about what I've been doing since. But a couple years ago, TBN out of Southern California, Trinity Broadcast Network, licensed VeggieTales from Universal to do a new series of VeggieTales shows, which is now airing on Yippee, which is their new streaming service. It's called the VeggieTales Show, and so they hired Phil and I for writing and voices for that show. So I've been able to, we've both been, and then also Kurt Keineke to do music, and so
good.
So it's just been really wonderful to be back, doing the shows. Phil is actually executive producer, so he's got a deeper role, and we just actually finished. We're done now with we did 26 episodes, and there will be a new episode airing every month, or going out on the streaming service every month for the next 2 years. So it's just been wonderful, just to see how God continues to use the show and in ways that we could have never imagined when we first started, and whether we were in control of the business or not, ultimately God is in control of it, and He's going to do with it what He wants to do. And I just think the way that it's touched kids' lives. I'm a college professor now, and the age of the students coming in now are the age of students who grew up with VeggieTales,
cool.
And so I get to see how the show has affected their lives, and it's just so humbling to know the way that God has used VeggieTales over the years. So I just it's while it was a roller coaster ride throughout those years, just giving all that to God, just say, hey, this was never ours, this was always yours, and cool. I just want to be a servant to be used in the way that you want to use me.
So does Professor Larry ever come in and teach classes?
Yeah. Well, now with COVID, I got a face mask, with a Larry the Cucumber,
nice.
A nose and mouth on it. So I break that out every once in a while.
Nice. Cool. All right. We will be right back and find out what's new with Mike.